In this episode of Talking About Orcs, we're going over the Warlord traits and the shiny Gubbins. So there are 6 generic Warlord traits and then 1 for each clan. And if you have a named character that has a clan listed in their keywords, you must use the clan-specific Warlord trait. For like Zadsnark being Evil Sons, must use the Evil Sons Warlord trait if he's the Warlord. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So Warlord traits, follow me lads. Your Warlord gains the Wah and Breaking Edge ability. So basically, War Boss abilities are Assault after running and D3 mortal wounds if you fail a morale test. Which, you know, you're probably rarely going to be using it for that. I mean, Big Mech would really be the only real character you'd probably put that on. If he already has those abilities, are the range is increased by 3 inches. In addition, if your army is Battle Forged, you receive 1 additional command point. Overall, not a bad choice. There may be other ones you'd want instead, for sure, but not a bad choice at all. It does a lot of really good things, for sure. Big Killer Boss, add 1 to wound rolls for your Warlord's attacks that target a vehicle or monster. That's meh at best. Artist Nails, add 1 to your Warlord's toughness characteristic. I mean, that could be fun. That would give you, what, a toughness 7 War Boss on bike? Yeah. Maybe. I don't think it's worth the Warlord trait. The other ones are so much better, though. It's a good Warlord trait, it's just overshadowed by the other ones. Brutal but cunning. You can reroll hit rolls in the fight phase for attacks made by your Warlord. In addition, add 1 to the damage characteristic of your Warlord's melee weapons. If in the same turn they finish a charge move or charge or perform heroic intervention. So of course that only doesn't work in subsequent turns of combat, but Brutal but Cunning is very, very powerful, especially combined with other things. We'll get into that, of course. And Cunning but Brutal. At the start of your first battle round, before the first turn begins, you can remove your Warlord and up to D3 friendly clan units from the battlefield. Set them up again as described in the deployment section of the mission you are playing. If you pick up a transport, units embarked remain so when removed and set up again. So this just allows you to rearrange your deployment. Just a counter deploy. So everything's all set up on the board now. You know where everything's going to be. Now you can pick up and move things around. Say to get things out of a first turn charge range or get your guns in range, in line of sight of something that they can shoot. Again, this is a really good Warlord trait, but the other is just overshadowed by the other stuff you can take. Might is right. Add 1 to your Warlord's strength and attack characteristics. Excellent. Excellent, but I don't know if you want that over Brutal but Cunning, but it's still very good. 1 strength, especially now your War Boss's Power Fist is now, what, strength 14? And so you're wounding everything but the toughest items on 2s. So Might is right is it's good. I just think I think it's just overshadowed. All of these are really much overshadowed by Brutal but Cunning. That is just an amazing Warlord trait. The rerolls. Let's see. Reroll to hit rolls, especially if you're just running a regular Power Claw, where you're hitting on 3s, and you reroll those hits, at least those 1s anyway. And so a regular Power Claw is D3 plus 1. That's amazing. Or if you want to go with a big chopper, I mean, you can do that. That means your big chop is 3 damage. Again, I'm not sure if that's something you want to do with just a -1 weapon, but it's possible. I think that's just a really amazing Warlord trait all around. So if I said the 2 I think you're going to see most often is Follow Me Lads to get that extra bubble, and Brutal but Cunning just because it's just that good. Might is right is good. Cunning but Brutal is very situational. So if you're going into a tournament or something where you know you might need that, it might be something to take as an option. I don't see the Big Killer Boss or Art of Nails being played over the other 4. So obviously these 2 are the tops. This is second tier. These 2 will be the second tier, and then these 2 are pretty much useless as far as I'm concerned. So let's take a look at the clan-specific ones. Bad Moons. Your Warlord has a 4-up invulnerable save. That is astonishingly tempting. No doubt about that. That's good. That's especially good for this book. So you make an armored War Boss leading your Bad Moons, give him that 4-up invul save, give him Brutal but Cunning, and give him, man, he's just a deadly warrior. Blood Axes, I've got a plan. If your Warlord is on the battlefield, roll a dice for each command point you spend. On a 6+, that command point is immediately refunded. Pretty standard stuff. And I think that would be more Death Skulls because it's about luck. But anyway, that's the Blood Axe one. I've got a plan. It's not too bad. Death Skulls. Reroll wounds of 1 for attacks made by your Warlord that target enemy vehicles. In addition, in the shooting phase, this Warlord can target enemy character units within 18 inches even if they're not the closest enemy unit. Which, you know, if you're running like a Beg Mech for the KM Custom Mega Blaster, may not be the worst thing in the world. Be able to snipe out characters like that. I don't know about anything else though you'd really want to shoot at one, because you're going to have, you want that good AP. Maybe a rocket, a combi rocket may not be a bad thing either, depending on the game you're playing, but I definitely think that is a very useful Warlord trait for sniping out characters. Again, it's going to be overshadowed by the other options, I think. I mean, that's a nice ability for sure, but when you look at the other ones, it's just another second tier Warlord trait. Evil Sons, your Warlord and friendly Evil Sons units within 6 inches can charge even if they fell back earlier this turn. Fantastic. I love this one. And when I'm playing my Evil Sons, this is the one I take. It actually hasn't ever come into play, because usually they just either die or wipe out, something just dies. I don't need to fall back. But that is definitely a Warlord trait worth taking for sure. That way you can fall back and something else can shoot at that unit. We'll soften it up a little bit if you're afraid of it in close combat, or if you're down on numbers or something. You can fall back, mob up, charge again, anything. I like this one a lot for sure. Freebooters, reroll hits of 1 for attacks made by your friendly Freebooters units in the fight phase while they're within 6 inches of your Warlord. Not bad. Definitely not bad. If you're running Freebooters, which I think is probably going to be one of the least played cultures, that's definitely a Warlord trait to consider, because that rerolling 1s to hit when you're talking boys and is quite good, especially if the Freebooters culture goes off and if something kills something and now you've got a unit of boys hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. Devastating. Great Warlord trait. If you're playing that culture, I would definitely consider taking it. Goths, add 1 to your Warlord's attack characteristic, and again, this has been fact, adds 1 to your attack and add -1 AP to your weapon. So your Power Claw now becomes -4 instead of -3. Absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth taking it, and makes Gazgul even more deadly now that he's got that extra -1 AP on his weapon. Very much worth for your Warlord. But I don't know if I'd want that over the Brutal but Cunning, but for Gazgul, it's definitely worth having. Snake Bites. You can reroll morale tests for friendly Snakebite units while they're within 6 inches of your Warlord. That's not too bad. In addition, friendly Snakebite Gretchen units automatically pass morale while they're within 12 inches of your Warlord. So this is definitely a situational Warlord trait you are going to build a list around. Specifically, you're going to be using Grots and Grot shields a lot, combined with a 6-up Feel No Pain on your boys. This is probably one of the few Warlord traits I can see building a whole list specifically to exploit as much as possible. As I said, combining this Warlord trait with Grot shield is an excellent way to keep your boys around for a lot longer in the shooting phase. No doubt about that. So, worth it, absolutely worth it. But again, I think this is the only one here that you really have to build a list around. And I think if you build a list around it, it's going to be very successful. You're definitely going to frustrate some people in the shooting phase if they're just killing Grots instead of killing your actual deadly units. Okay, so let's get into the shiny Gubbins. Let's see here. Let's see, the Dead Shiny Shuda is 18-inch range, Assault 12, Strength 4, AP -1, 1 damage. As you can see, this was probably meant to go along with the Death Skulls Warlord trait, because it's 18 inches, so it's a Warlord trait. So 12 shots, you know, sure you're going to be hitting on 5s, but you do have DACA, and you can use more DACA if you want to to explode on 5s and 6s. If there's some characters really annoying, I mean, it is -1 AP, so at least you have a good chance of getting some wounds through. But again, this is going to be, it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Head Wampus Kill Choppa, it hasn't changed much. It went from D3 damage to 2 damage, I think, AP -2. And wound rolls of 6 are inflict 2 mortal wounds instead of normal damage. So yeah, this got quite a bit of an upgrade from the index, or from chapter approved, I should say. So it went up to, so it changed from D3 damage to 2 damage. When it does 2 mortal wounds instead of 1 on each 6, which is pretty good. So you might want to consider, if this was combined with some of the Warlord traits like Brutal but Cunning, or the Goff Warlord trait, where now it's a -3 weapon with extra attack, and you're doing 2 mortal wounds on each wound roll of 6. That's pretty good. And if you want to play the extra command point, having this and another weapon or shiny element is absolutely worth a command point. Have this thing on one model and the Killer Claw on another one. In fact, let's get to the Killer Claw. Models with Power Claw only. The Killer Claw replaces the wearer's Power Claw. Has the following profile: Strength ×2, AP -3, 3 damage. You can reroll wounds. You can reroll wound rolls for attacks made with this weapon. Now we are getting into the most broken combination in the game in this book: the Killer Claw and Brutal but Cunning. Brutal but Cunning. So now you've added 1 to your damage characteristic, and you are re-rolling attacks. Come over here, you are re-rolling wounds on the turn you are charged, or heroic intervene. So now you're talking AP -3 and 4 damage a shot. Re-rolling the hits and re-rolling wounds. And if you really want to go all out, you add it with the Psychic Power, which adds 2 strength and 2 attacks. And of course, that's a strength characteristic. We'll get to the course of Psychic Powers later. So if you buff him up with that, now he's at a War Boss going to be Strength 8, Strength 16, 6 attacks at AP -3, 4 damage, rerolling hits, rerolling wounds. Where you're going to be hitting everything on 2, because there's no minus to hit, so you're going to be hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, and wounding on 2s, wounding everything on 2s, rerolling 1s, with 4 damage for each failed save. This is absolutely brutal. This could, in theory, if your opponent doesn't roll any 6s, kill a knight in a single close combat phase. 6 attacks, 2s rerolls, 2s rerolls. 6 times 4 is 24 damage. If he doesn't roll a single 6, that's a dead knight in one close combat phase. The Killer Claw, especially combined with Brutal and Cunning, is an absolutely amazing thing to do. And you add in a third combination of Psychic Power. What's it called? Of course, we haven't gotten to Psychic Powers yet, but we'll get there. Fists of Gork. It just makes your Warlord an absolute killing machine. There's just no doubt about that. 4 damage a shot is an incredible amount of damage for multi-wound models. Of course, if you're just going up against the regular infantry, it's not going to matter at all, but that's not what you're going to be going after. Even if you don't do the Brutal but Cunning, if you just use the Killer Claw and you give it to a Bad Moons War Boss with a 4-up invul save, that's just as good. A Mega Armored War Boss, Bad Moons, gets a 4-up invul save and he gets to reroll wounds with this weapon. So you're still hitting on 2s because there's no minus to hit with this one, and you don't get to reroll, but you will have that 4-up invul save. Either one of those combinations, either Brutal but Cunning or Bad Moons and the Killer Claw, and you've got an incredibly top tier deadly character. Of course, it's a brutal cutting adds +1 to the damage. Yeah, so you'd lose the +1 damage. Still be only 3 damage each. But I think the trade-off of the 4 invul save for not having brutal but cunning is definitely a viable trade-off. So the Killer Claw is one of the best things ever, and it's just gonna smash other characters, because each failed save is gonna be a lot of damage. And there's gonna be a lot of attacks, very high strength, and it's just amazing. Not much else to say. Just if your model has a Power Claw, you just default to the Killer Claw. That is going to be the artifact you're going to take more than anything else. And it's supposed to come from a Soul Grinder, so if you really want to grab the claw off a Soul Grinder and put it on a War Boss model, that would be awesome. There's no reason not to do that. Scorch, Gubbinz, Psyker only, add 1 to your Psychic tests. Super Cyborg Body, 5+ Feel No Pain. Get Stopper Shells, models with Custom Shooter, Combi Weapon. Add 1 to Strength and Damage characters like that Weapon Shooter or Custom Shooter. In addition, improve the AP of the Weapon Shooter or Custom Shooter by 1. That's nice, that's okay, but it's not incredible. And then we get into the clan-specific ones, where you got the Lucky Stick, Goth model only, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by friendly Goth character models. Unfortunately, it's only characters, while they're within 6 inches of the bearer in the fight phase. In addition, you can reroll hits and wounds for attacks made by the bearer in the fight phase. So, not bad. I think if you're running a standard Power Claw, you giving it to Lucky Stick. Again, you can pay extra command points. So you can give 1 character Head Wampus Kill Choppa, 1 the Killer Claw, and 1 the Lucky Stick, if you really want to. Because if you have a Goth character with the Lucky Stick next to the one with the Killer Claw, they're your rerolls to hit. So Lucky Stick isn't as broken as it was in the 7th edition Codex, but it's still valuable. Unfortunately, it is Goth only. I wish it wasn't. Let's see, the Blood Axe one. If your bearer is a Warlord, you can generate a 2nd Warlord trait. If the bearer is not your Warlord, generate a Warlord trait for them. So you can have 2 Warlord traits on 2 different models. Definitely not useless. So this would definitely be good for soup, where you can give 1 Bad Moon. You have 1 Bad Moon detachment as your Warlord. Give them the 4 invul save, and then you can have another model, Blood Axe character with, say, the Killer Claw and Brutal but Cunning. Or not the Killer Claw, but Brutal but Cunning. And if you really wanted to. Because you can't give them 2 artifacts on the same character, unfortunately. But yeah, viable if you're playing Blood Axes for sure. You can do a lot of really cool things that way, having 2 different Warlord traits on the board. The Evil Sons. Res Mecha's Redder Armor. Evil Sons model only, add 1 to the move characteristic of a transport while the bearer is embarked, so that would stack, of course, with the Evil Sons abilities. In addition, if the bearer is embarked in the start of your movement phase, roll d6 for each enemy unit within 1 inch. On a 4+, that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. So this is one of those things you might want to put in like to an Evil Sons Gorkanaut that you're dropping in with Teleporta, so that if they do get up and assault your Gorkanaut, they're going to take some mortal wounds, or there's a chance they could take some mortal wounds. And again, it doesn't have to be a Warlord; it can be just an Evil Sons character. So, again, some cool tricks you can pull with that. Bad Moons. Let's see. You got the Thunderbuss, heavy 2d6, range 12 inches, string 5, AP -1, 1 damage, auto hits. So. Wow, custom shooter, combi weapon with Scorcha, or combi weapon with rocket launcher. The Gob Shot Thunderbuss replaces the bearer's custom shooter or shooter profile. So you can put this thing on a combi Scorcha, and then you'd have 3d6 auto hitting shots. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. The Fixer Upper, Death Skull's model only. The model gains the big mechanic ability. The bear already has the ability. You automatically repair 3 instead of D3. I don't know if it's worth the slot for the artifact that you have. Let's see, snake bite ones. Let's see, Brog's buzz bomb, range 6-inch grenade, 3d6, string 5 AP -1 damage. This weapon can only be used once per battle and automatically hits its target. That's pretty good. After all the attacks have been resolved, you can immediately select another enemy within 6 inches of the target and resolve 2d6 against it with the same weapon. So that's 5d6 auto hitting attacks with a grenade. String 5 AP -1 damage. It's too bad it's only once per battle, but that's a lot of potential damage for sure. Bad Skull Banner, freebooters model only, once per battle. At the start of the mobile morale phase, the bearer of the Bad Moon's banner can choose to fly the flag. To do so, friendly freebooters units automatically pass morale tests until the end of the phase. Once per battle, unfortunately only. But if that might be good if you're taking a lot of damage from a lot of units and you need to keep them around. Not a bad artifact. Again, a lot of these are just really good, but some of them are obviously better than others. But none of them are really bad or not worth taking, except for maybe the Super Cyborg body. That's probably the only one you'd probably never take. The rest of them, though, definitely have their place and definitely have enough power to be playable. If you want to do something different and not just do the same things all the time, giving something with good stopper shells sounds like a lot of fun. The kill chopper is an incredibly viable weapon, especially for just one extra command point, having 2 awesomely killy artifacts on the board with the Killer Claw and the Kill Chopper. Redder Armor is fun. I'm not sure it's great. The Thunderbuss, again, is a lot of potential damage. So is the Grenade. That's 5d6, string 5 AP -1 shots. Auto hit. Well, of course, it's only once per game, but still, that's a lot. So there's a lot of things to choose from here, and you can definitely build some lists around these things and build some lists around your Warlord traits. And then you combine artifacts and Warlord traits and psychic powers to just do some really amazing combos that just make your characters just incredibly deadly. They still don't have any survivability. I mean, the only invul save is is Gazgul's and just a couple characters, Gazgul and what's his name, freebooter guy, Captain Badruck, and then the Bad Moon's Warlord trait. That's really all the invul saves we have still. But they're so incredibly deadly that it kind of makes it, hopefully they won't have to use an invul save because they're just going to be killing everything before they get a chance to fight back. But yeah, so that's the Warlord traits and the shiny Gubbins. A lot of good stuff in here. A lot of good stuff. And, it's almost the point where you'd like to be able to take all of them because they all are useful. But again, just some are more powerful than others. But if you don't care about that, there's no bad options. There really isn't. So let me know what you think below, and thanks for watching. Thank you for watching this episode of Talking About Orcs. Please subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications for new Talking About Orcs videos every Wednesday, new battle reports every Friday, and hobby videos whenever I can. Thanks for watching.